Good morning, fellow Plexers. Today's video will be a quick Filebot video to show a new member of the Plex Media Server Support Group on Facebook how to use Filebot to automatically grab subtitles. Now, in my experience, Filebot grabs the correct subtitle about 80% of the time. So the remainder of the time, when you can't get a subtitle or the subtitle doesn't match, my go-to website is Subscene, where you can sort for forced subtitles, you can sort for your language. I think it's easier to use than Opensubtitles, even though we're going to use an Opensubtitles connection in Filebot. So if you change your filter, I don't know why this website is slow this morning. And excuse me, I must have allergies because I thought I was slow getting over a cold, but I can't get this cough to subside when I'm speaking. So you can see I'm sorted for English subtitles, and I'm looking for both hearing impaired and the default one. And if I had a particular movie I only wanted to search for the forced audio track or the subtitle track, I can check that box and get it. So this is if Filebot fails you. And Filebot's going to bring in either a default or a hearing impaired subtitle without you being able to determine which one, and you can't get a foreign language only subtitle. You'll have to source that manually from Subscene if you didn't grab one from your media when you ripped it. If your media came from someplace else, you're kind of stuck using a tool like Filebot or manually getting subs from Subscene. So I'm not going to pull the documents up, but Plex has two support documents on subtitles. One is called On Demand, and that's a feature of every client app where Plex has partnered with Opensubtitles to allow someone to search for a missing subtitle. You get what you get, and there's multiple choices, and you just keep trying until you get one that syncs. I think of that as a last-ditch effort to get a subtitle. You really should have local subtitles, and Plex has a support document titled Local Subtitles, and that's where you name your subtitles to match your media. And you can, if you use the .srt type of subtitles, they're the most compatible across all the client devices. PGS subtitles are typically ripped from a DVD or a Blu-ray, and they generally always cause a transcode. A .srt subtitle generally does not cause a transcode. So if your server doesn't have hardware acceleration on it, the .srt subtitles are for you. So this is just a media folder on my Linux computer. And most of these files, when I do a Filebot demo video, these are just dummy files. They're all the same video file. Let me open one. Plexers, test 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. So this helps me prevent getting a YouTube copyright strike because I don't really show the media. Well, today I need to, so I copied 3 movies off my server. Filebot uses heuristics to try to get the right subtitle for the version of the movie you have. So first off, let me rename these to the most basic form. I'll get rid of the TMDB ID number that's default on my method of naming files. And then we've got a little trick here. Both Forrest Gump and Jurassic Park. Alright, so let's get rid of these subtitles. They're both remastered editions, so we'll have to see if Filebot can match up the correct subtitle to a remastered edition. So we'll rename these to their most basic form. And hopefully you're already aware of Plex's naming guides for movies. There's 3 of them that you want to be aware of. The first is the main naming guide. And then the second is multiple versions. And that's where Plex shows you to add a space dash space 1080p or 720p so that you can have more than one version on your server. Plex will scan those in as one poster, but then the client apps are supposed to know which one to play based on their connection to your server. And then the next document would be, instead of multiple versions, it would be multiple editions, and that's where you would add the edition tag that I just erased. It would be the curly Q brackets containing edition dash remastered or uncut or unrated or director's cut. So Filebot by default cannot add those to a movie file name, but it can be made to do it, and my expressions do that. I have custom expressions. So let's get on to the subtitle part of it. With my elementary OS, which is a Linux distro, I can just highlight all three movies and right click and choose open with Filebot. On Windows, you may have to open Filebot and drag these in. So I have to apologize. Even though I have everything sized up on my display, Filebot doesn't follow the scaling rules well, so the type is a little small. So we have Forrest Gump, Jurassic Park. Oh, I must have missed a subtitle. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so now we'll open them in Filebot again. So if you've never used Filebot, you can simply click on Match, drop down to the Movie Mode section, click on the movie database, and Filebot will reach out to TMDB to get the correct file names. And the green dot means Filebot's not going to rename. So that's good, especially if you're already compliant with the most basic file name, like I've just renamed these files. So if this is the case, you can click on the subtitle tag over here, icon over here, and this little green dot is your login for Opensubtitles. You can go to Opensubtitles, register for a free account. You don't have to pay a dime. A free account gives you 200 API calls daily, which means you can have Filebot search for subtitles for up to 200 movies each day. And if you've got a 600 movie library or a 6,000 movie library, 200 a day is a lot to work on. You'll really never reach that limit, because I would not, if I had a large 6,000 movie library, I would not try to turn subtitle or Filebot loose on that all at once. I would break it down into increments of, I don't know, 50 movies, 70 movies. I would probably go alphabetically through my library and throw all the A's in there, because you have to open each movie up to check for subtitle sync. If Filebot didn't find a subtitle, you'll want to go to subscene. If Filebot found a subtitle that did not match, you'll want to go to subscene. And if you know the movie has forced language sections, or needs a forced subtitle for foreign language sections, you've got to go to subscene to get that manually anyway. So anyway, you connect your account, and then you click on rename again. And the settings icon here, excuse the cough, lets you go down to the bottom option, post-process, and you can click fetch subtitles. So now I'm going to rename, and you see it renamed 3 files and added 3 subtitles. So we don't know if they're going to sync or not. So I'm going to pause the video because I can't risk a YouTube strike, and I'm going to check for sync and let you know how we did with the 2 that were actual remastered versions. Well, I'm back, and unfortunately Filebot only found a synced subtitle for my cousin Vinny. Because both of these were remastered versions, it didn't find a matching subtitle. So my experiment's not done. I'm going to take these two and I'm going to use my own custom expression and see how Filebot does looking for a subtitle then. This little icon here allows you to use your own expressions. If I click on it and choose edit an expression, let me open this one up. This is my full expression. It handles automatically detecting the subtitle language for SRT subtitles if you have them. It looks inside the container folder for embedded subtitles. Well, I just screwed that up. I dragged it, didn't want to. So it looks inside a container folder for embedded subtitles, and if it finds unlabeled subtitles, it'll add this notation. If it finds English subtitles, it'll add this other notation. I don't care if it's got foreign subtitles because they're not helpful. At least if they're English subtitles unlabeled, I can use MKV toolnix to add the English flag to it and then run it through Filebot again. So this section here adds media characteristics to the file name. The audio codec, the audio format, video codec, and video format. So this next section looks for common addition tags. So it'll auto-discover a remastered version. It'll automatically discover a director's cut. Non-standard editions, like I will edition tag colorized versions of old black and white movies because I might have both on my server, and I'll use the edition tag for that purpose. Filebot won't know what that is, and it won't carry the old edition tag forward, so it'll just remove the edition tag because it's an unofficial edition. And then this section adds the TMDB ID number to the formula. So Filebot by default with version 5, I have to hold down my shift key to get to it, adds their own built-in expressions. These four here: organize movies for Plex, organize episodes for Plex, match by episode title, and match by absolute number. So you'd be using the top two. And if I chose organize movies for Plex, it's going to automatically create structure. So the Forrest Gump is named properly in a properly named folder. Well, this expression is going to name or move everything to a folder named media in a folder named movies. It'll create the Forrest Gump movie folder properly, but it will include the database ID number, and then it will rename the movie. But it's not adding the database ID number to the file name. My custom expression adds the database ID number to the file name, it adds the edition tag to the file name, and it adds these media characteristics. And I have another expression that creates structure. This creates structure wherever the movie is on my PC. So we're in the media folder, subfolder of movies, and it's going to just create structure there. And it'll add the TMDB ID number to the folder and to the file while adding the edition remastered tag and the media characteristics information. And you'll notice Filebot picked up this tag automatically on both movies. So let me go back. I don't want to create structure. I'll leave that alone. And let's see if Filebot is any smarter with fetching subtitles because of this expression. All right, it added 2 files. And you'll see it's got the upgraded file names now. So let me pause the video and check for sync. I'm back, and again, there was no match subtitle found. So let's get rid of those. and let's use Opensubtitles. I'm sorry, let's use Subscene manually. So I'm already sorted for English subtitles, but we want a remastered version. And now if you weren't using my special Filebot expression, you wouldn't know this was a remastered version of the movie, and you really wouldn't know what to search for. So I'm just going to find based on a keyword. So this is where things kind of get tricky. Both Opensubtitles and Subscene use the release group name of where they got the subtitle from. So if you're ripping your own media and you don't want the PGS subtitles, you've got to use other clues, like UHD Blu-ray 2160p. You use kind of those type of clues to know. If you're acquiring media, well, you know which clues you're using here. And you'll see that different release groups are using the same subtitle. So I can take a guess that these two subtitles are going to be a match. Let me put those right in my media folder. So I grabbed the HI, which also could be labeled SDH, it's the hearing impaired, and I'll grab the standard one. So if I go to my media folder, I'll open up both compressed folders. And I'll drag these in. So renaming these are actually pretty easy no matter what the movie's name. Whatever you end up as your file name from the movie, of course we want it compliant. Just copy it. And we're going to rename the default subtitle first. And I'm just going to do a .eng, and this could also be just .en. So on the hearing impaired one, it'll be .eng, .SDH. Now that should be a matched subtitle. Let me just check to make sure it matches, both of them. And these manually sourced subtitles from Subscene were a perfect match. Now, I know that these, we really would not want to show a screenshot in the group because this part of the file name could be considered crossing the piracy line. But I just want to make a point about that. Plex partners with Opensubtitle so that every client app can reach out and look for a subtitle if you don't have local ones. So this is just the web client app. I've loaded the same movie up. And if you see, it shows the actual two local subtitles I have. But if I click the search, this official connection of Plex is going to show those same release groups. And this just can't be helped. It's the only way Opensubtitles stores subtitles based on the name, this naming scheme, and you just can't unsee what you see, like this group name, or this group name, or this group name that we also saw at Subscene. So I don't like posting screenshots in the group of this stuff, but I'm a little bit safer talking about it on this video. We just can't get away that this official connection for an on-demand subtitle shows the same stuff that we're trying to protect the group from being taken down over piracy issues. So if you collect your media this way and you always use the same group, it's quicker to source subtitles from either Opensubtitles or Subscene or any subtitle group, because usually you're going to find a matched subtitle by looking for one that's labeled from the actual source material. So this is a little edgy, but I wanted to throw that in because once you understand how all this comes together, it's a little bit easier. And seeing we're on the subject of subtitles, let me pause the video and grab one more file so I can show you embedded subtitles. Be right back. I went and copied an episode of Friends to my directory here on my computer off my NAS because I want to open this MKV up in MKV Toolnix. And again, I can just right click on it and choose the app I want to open it in. Okay, so we are now looking inside excuse me, the container file, and we see the video file, we see the audio, and we see a subtitle file. So everything needs to be labeled or tagged properly inside the container file. So we'll see all three are tagged with the English language, and it's using the 2-letter code instead of the 3-letter code that Filebot uses by default. And if we highlight the subtitle and come over here, we can see it's not marked as a default track. It doesn't really matter. It can be or it doesn't have to be. Plex doesn't follow those rules. If it was marked the default track and you open it up in VLC, that would be the track that would, subtitle track that would load first if you had a hearing impaired, a default subtitle, and a forced one. Normally you want the forced one to load properly. But if this was a forced subtitle, this forced flag would have to be changed to yes. Otherwise Plex wouldn't know it was a forced one. And the same thing, if this was a hearing impaired subtitle, you'd want the hearing impaired flag set to yes. Otherwise Plex wouldn't know it was the hearing impaired subtitle. So this is how you would fix mislabeled or misflagged embedded subtitles. And let me see if we can slide this over. Embedded subtitles can be PGS or SRT subs, and you'll see this is an SRT version of a sub, and that plays fine whether it's embedded or external. If you're ripping your own media, lots of times you're going to have PGS subs, and again, they will force a transcode. So if you really wanted to get tricky, you could use MKV Toolnix to embed your SRT subs into the container file so they weren't separated. And the last Filebot trick I'll show you is, let me open Filebot up manually. I'm going to drag this episode in. So this episode was named by Filebot before I upgraded to my latest expression that adds a notation for embedded subtitles. Alright, so Filebot is smart enough, it wants to know what friends we're dealing with, and it's the original one, so I'll select that. Okay, so this expression of mine is going to create structure. It's going to create the series folder name with a year, season 01, and then it's going to rename this episode this way, which is going to be very similar, but it's going to have the ENGSUB part added to it. Alright, so now the file is gone and the structure replaces it. So basically what's different is this episode now has the year added to the name, and it also has this added to the file name. So just by looking at it, you can tell that it has embedded English subs. So if I rename my media like this, I would have to rescan the library because the file changed. And that's an important bit of information I don't want to leave out. So if you're going to use Filebot to rename your media, and you've already got good basic compliant file names like Forrest Gump 1994, with your movie named the same way, not with all the extra stuff I have, you can use a default expression in Filebot, add the Opensubtitles connection, and rename your media, but your media won't really be renamed. Let me just show that again. Let's get rid of these two subtitles. So we'll throw this into Filebot one more time. And again, I'm just going to go to match movie mode, the movie DB. And if you see that green dot, the file's already named the same way you're using the expression. And now this connection would just search for a matching subtitle. If you do want to upgrade your file names, just remember you got to scan your library again. And if you've created any custom collections or custom posters, you may lose that connection by renaming your media. If your media isn't renamed to this basic version of what Plex calls for, I would suggest renaming it and just getting on the bandwagon. I do like my more expressive expansions. You can just look at a piece of media and know exactly what you've got. But that's it. This is no longer a short video, but I wanted to try to fit some things in. And please excuse my cough.